All right, so have you ever heard of growth hacking?
Hmm.
It sounds a bit like, I don't know, a superpower
Yeah.
that businesses can use to like magically grow super fast.
Right.
And it's a term that you hear everywhere these days.
Especially in like the tech startup world.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
what does it actually mean?
Right.
Like, what is it really?
Yeah.
And what can it do for, you, me, our businesses?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So that's what we're diving into today. We're going to break through all the hype and
buzzwords.
yeah, all the buzzwords and get to
The good stuff?
the good stuff. Exactly. And you're someone who's obviously interested in, results
Yeah.
and getting them quickly right. I
Yeah.
mean, who isn't, right?
Exactly.
So this deep dive, this is perfect for you.
Yeah, definitely.
We're starting with a source that's kind of like, the trusted dictionary of the internet.
Oh, okay.
The Wikipedia article on growth hacking.
Okay, so like the foundation.
Exactly, the foundation.
So Wikipedia gives us that good overview, and then, we'll kind of go from there and
Build on it.
build on it, add some context, and yeah, just bring it to life a little bit more.
I love it. Okay, so Wikipedia tells us that growth hacking is, quote, a subfield of marketing.
Okay.
But it feels like it's more than that, It's gotta be.
Yeah.
It's more than just like
Sending a few emails?
sending out some emails or putting up some like banner ads or something.
Right. Yeah, it's not just traditional marketing.
Right.
It's about really thinking outside the box.
Okay.
And, I guess if marketing is about getting your message out to people,
Right.
growth hacking is about finding like the most ingenious
Yeah.
and like most efficient ways to do that.
I like that. Ingenious.
Yeah, and it often involves, like building virality or like really clever systems and like directly into a product or service itself.
So it's almost like you're building in the
Yeah.
growth into the actual product.
Yeah.
Exactly.
As opposed to just doing external marketing around
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Okay, I am intrigued. Give me an example because
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time picturing this.
Okay, so think back to like the early days of email.
Okay.
Remember Hotmail?
Oh, yeah, of course.
They used a really simple but like incredibly effective tactic to grow to gain traction.
Okay.
Every email that was sent from a Hotmail account included this tagline at the bottom. It said, P.S. I love you. Get your free email at Hotmail.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's all coming back to me now.
Right. Wow.
But it was everywhere.
It was everywhere. So what's so genius about that?
Okay, so what's brilliant about it is they essentially turned their users
Okay.
into their marketers.
Oh, wow.
Every email became like this little mini advertisement
Yeah.
that was spreading the word organically through,
Mm-hmm.
People's own personal networks.
Wow. So it's like word of mouth, but on like
On steroids?
steroids. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because you're reaching so many more people.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, that's really clever.
Yeah. And it worked brilliantly.
It's true. And you know what else I think is interesting about it?
What's that?
Is that, obviously everyone loves a free email service, right?
Right.
But it wasn't just about the fact that it was free.
Yeah.
It was the fact that they wove that message into the actual use of the product.
Exactly.
So every time you used it, you were reminded of...
It was right there in your face.
Yeah, that's really clever.
And it highlights a core principle of growth hacking,
Okay.
which is building those growth mechanisms into the product itself.
Right.
Instead of relying on just like these external marketing campaigns.
Okay, so we've established that it's not just your,
Your run-of-the-mill marketing.
run-of-the-mill marketing.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Right.
But where did this whole idea even come from?
So the term itself is actually attributed to Sean Ellis.
Who was a startup marketer,
Mm-hmm.
who coined it back in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And for him, it was really about recognizing that for startups, growth is everything.
Okay.
It's literally like
It's survival.
survival.
Yeah.
You either grow or you die.
Yeah, it's high stakes.
It's high stakes, yeah.
So it's like we've got to find these
You got to get crazy.
creative ways to grow.
Yes.
Especially when you're up against these like
The big guys.
the big established players.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So it's not just this like cute, catchy phrase.
Right.
It was really like kind of born out of this need
it was a necessity.
to survive.
Yeah. But what's interesting is that the term growth hacking didn't actually become super popular until a little bit later.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Andrew Chen,
Okay.
who was, he's a tech entrepreneur and investor. He wrote about it in 2012.
Okay.
And he was kind of the one who connected the dots
Oh, interesting.
between this whole, like, growth at all costs mentality
Right.
and the way that all these successful startups were operating.
Interesting.
So it's like he put a name to what was already happening.
Interesting. So he was seeing this pattern
Exactly.
and was like, oh, this is actually a thing.
It's a thing. We need to
That needs a name.
put a name to it, yeah. And it wasn't just these abstract ideas either. They were really born out of observing
So real world.
what was actually working
Yeah.
for companies like Facebook,
Yeah.
Dropbox, Airbnb.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, people were paying attention to how these companies were achieving this rapid growth.
Right. Because it was hard to ignore.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's like undeniable.
It was undeniable. You were like, how are they doing this?
What's the secret sauce?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got this new term. We've got these companies that are clearly using it successfully.
Yes.
Let's get into some more of these real-world examples.
Let's do it.
Because I want to see this in action.
Okay.
You know, the Wikipedia article mentions a few more.
Okay.
I want to hear about them.
All right, so let's talk about Dropbox.
Okay.
They are famous for their referral program.
Okay.
You know, refer a friend.
Yep.
Get more storage space.
Oh, I've totally fallen for that one. Who
Right.
hasn't? Free storage space. Sign me up.
Exactly. And that's what makes it such a great example
Ah.
of growth hacking.
Okay.
Dropbox tapped into this, like key user desire,
More space.
more storage space.
Always.
Yes.
Always more space.
And they use that as leverage to encourage growth.
Smart.
Right.
Right.
They gave users something that they genuinely valued, something valuable,
Yeah.
in exchange for spreading the word.
It's a win-win.
It's a total win-win.
Yeah, you get more storage,
Exactly.
you get a new customer.
Everybody's happy.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and what's also really smart about it is it's so simple.
It's simple.
It's easy.
It's easy to do.
It's like built into the experience.
It's not like some complicated thing.
Right, exactly. And it's not intrusive. It's just like there when you want it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right.
Okay, what else? What other examples?
Yeah, you ready for like a bolder example?
Hit me with it.
Okay, let's talk about Airbnb
Uh-huh.
and their early days.
Okay, so Airbnb early days, they need to get their name out there. Like, what did they do?
Well, they kind of took this idea of like going where your audience already is,
Okay,
but they did it in a really like kind of gutsy way.
okay.
They decided to leverage Craigslist.
Craigslist.
Yeah.
The, like, online classifieds.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you growth hack Craigslist?
Well, not hack in like the traditional sense.
No, right.
Like, they didn't break any rules or anything,
Okay.
but they found a way to kind of like make Craigslist work for them.
Okay.
What they did was they created a system that would automatically generate listings on Craigslist
Oh, wow.
using their Airbnb properties.
Okay.
So it was a way to tap into this massive existing audience
Right.
of people who are already looking for places to stay.
That's so smart. Because people were going there anyway.
Exactly. And they were already in that mindset of like, I need a place to crash.
Yeah.
And Airbnb was like, hey, we're here.
That's so funny.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure Craigslist was probably not thrilled.
Probably not their biggest fans.
But you can't argue with the result.
Exactly. It was a temporary boost,
Okay.
but it gave them that initial exposure they needed
Yeah.
to kind of like gain traction.
Yeah, you got to get those
You got to get creative.
eyeballs somehow.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got Hotmail,
Yeah.
Dropbox, Airbnb, all these really cool companies doing these really cool things.
Yeah. And it's all about being resourceful,
Okay.
you know, thinking differently.
Okay, so my question is, and I'm sure this is what our listeners are thinking right now too,
Yeah.
is growth hacking just about like copying what's worked for others?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And the answer is no.
Okay.
It's not about like finding that one magic bean
Okay.
to grow your business overnight.
Right.
Growth hacking is a process. It's a mindset. It's not like a bag of tricks.
Got it.
It's really about looking at your challenges
Okay.
from different angles, being data-driven and just constantly testing and iterating.
So like those famous examples, those are not the blueprint. Those are more like the final product.
Exactly. They're the result
Okay.
of that process.
Okay.
And what makes growth hacking so powerful is that this process can be applied to any business,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
big or small.
So this isn't just for like Silicon Valley hotshots.
Nope, not at all.
Okay. So how do we do this? Where does someone even begin if they want to?
It all starts with your goals.
Oh, okay.
You know, what are you actually trying to achieve?
Okay.
Is it new customers?
Uh-huh.
Is it greater engagement?
Mm-hmm.
Higher sales? Like, you need to know where you're going.
Your destination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of figure out the best route to get there.
And that's where the like data-driven part comes in.
Exactly. Because successful growth hackers are obsessed with data.
Okay.
They track everything.
Everything.
Website traffic conversion rates, customer lifetime value,
Yeah.
All of it.
Okay.
And they use this data to really understand what's working and what's not.
So you're not just like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks?
No, it's not random.
Okay.
It's all about making informed decisions.
Okay. I like that.
So, for example, let's say you're trying to get people to sign up for your newsletter.
Okay.
You might test different headlines
Okay.
or different calls to action on your website
Okay.
to see what actually gets people to click that button.
So you're like running all these mini experiments.
Exactly.
Okay.
Constantly testing, analyzing, refining.
Wow. This is really interesting. I like that we've gone from like, okay, what even is growth hacking to now this is a process, this is how you think about it, this is how you approach it.
It's a mindset shift.
It is a mindset shift,
Right.
but you said earlier on that this isn't just for tech companies.
Right.
That anybody can use these principles.
Anybody.
Like how, so give me an example.
Well, actually, some of the most creative and effective growth hacks come from businesses outside of Silicon Valley.
Oh, really?
Yeah, think about it. Like a local bakery can use these principles just as effectively as like a tech giant.
That's a good point.
Right.
It's still about understanding your customer,
Exactly.
what they want, how to reach them.
Understanding your goals and just being open to experimenting with these new approaches.
Okay, so it's like a level playing field in a way.
I like that.
It's not about how much money you have
There's-
or like how big your team is.
It's about who can be more clever,
Right.
who can kind of like outsmart the competition
I like that.
with these creative solutions.
But there's still this perception, I think,
Yeah.
that you need to be like super tech savvy
Right.
to pull off these growth hacks.
Yeah, and that's actually a common misconception.
Oh, okay.
While it's true that some technical skills are definitely helpful,
Like what kind of skills?
like being able to analyze data
Okay.
or set up A/B tests, you don't need to be like a coding whiz to be a successful growth hacker.
Okay, so what would you say are the most important qualities then?
It's a blend of things.
Okay.
You got to be curious.
Okay.
You got to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to think analytically,
Okay.
and you got to be willing to experiment.
Okay.
Like a good growth hacker is always asking, what if?
I like that.
And isn't afraid to try new things, even if they seem a little unorthodox.
Okay, but let's be real. Not every experiment is going to be a home run.
Right.
How do you handle the setbacks? How do you stay motivated when things inevitably don't go your way? So not every experiment is going to be a runaway success. What's the mindset of a growth hacker when it comes to dealing with those inevitable bumps in the road?
Yeah, you got to be okay with failing sometimes,
Uh-huh.
because not everything you try is going to work out.
Right.
But that's okay.
Okay.
Like every experiment, whether it succeeds or fails,
Yeah.
it gives you valuable data.
Oh.
So it's really about analyzing that data, learning from it,
Mm-hmm.
and then like adjusting your approach based on what you learned.
You got to be adaptable.
Exactly.
You got to be willing to pivot if something's not working.
Exactly. And you can't get discouraged.
Right.
You know, when things don't go exactly as planned.
Easier said than done, I'm sure.
It definitely takes practice,
Okay.
but it's all about being persistent and seeing every setback as like an opportunity to learn and improve.
I like that perspective. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, just got to reframe that failure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Turn it into a positive.
Exactly.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive on growth hacking, is there like one final thought-provoking nugget you can leave our listener with, something to kind of inspire them to take action?
Absolutely. So we've talked about how growth hacking is this process, right? It's a mindset, and it's something that anyone can apply.
Right.
So here's a challenge for you, our listener.
Okay, I like it.
Think about one small thing you can test this week
Okay.
to try to spark some growth in your own work or your own projects.
I love that. And it doesn't have to be something crazy complicated or expensive or anything.
No, not at all. It could be as simple as like trying a new social media strategy,
Mm-hmm.
testing a different email subject line, or even just like asking your audience what they want to see more of.
That's a good point.
Right.
Sometimes we forget to just ask.
It's
Right.
easy to get caught up in like the day-to-day,
Yeah, totally.
but sometimes just asking your audience can give you those golden nuggets.
Yeah, that's great advice. And you know what I love about this whole conversation is it's really about taking that first step, no matter how small it is, and
Exactly.
just being open to experimenting and seeing what happens.
Precisely. And remember, the beauty of growth hacking is that it's an ongoing journey.
Oh, that's a good point.
There's always something new to learn, something new to test,
Always iterating.
always iterating, always another opportunity to grow.
Right.
So embrace that process, stay curious, and
Yeah.
never stop experimenting.
I love it if this deep dive has like piqued your curiosity and you want to learn more. Don't be afraid to dig in and do some more research.
There's tons of resources out there.
Yeah, there really are like books, blogs.
Online communities, courses, You name it.
Exactly. If you want to go deep on growth hacking, you can.
Yeah, you can make it your whole thing.
You really can. And who knows, maybe you'll discover the next big growth hack that everyone's going to be talking about.
You could be the next Sean Ellis.
Right. But even if you don't find yourself on the cover of Forbes magazine,
Yeah.
remember that the real magic of this is in the process.
It's about the journey.
Yeah. So get out there, experiment, have fun growing.